listening to the Twin Theory Podcast,
Season 4. Hello and welcome back to the Twin Theory Podcast. I'm so excited to join you again. Hope you enjoyed our last episode. Our last episodes, actually. We released 2 of them, kind of back to back, 2 weeks out at a time rather than our once a month. So hope you enjoyed that. Trying to get back on schedule here. And just learning a little bit more about us and almost like a setting up a dating profile, if you will, for me and Marrisa. I will have to definitely keep that and save that so that we can come back to it and reference it when we need it, I guess. Anywho, moving on. So for today, me and Marrisa, over the last, within the last 30 days, the 31st of July is our birthday. And so we recently celebrated our birthday. But we've hinted a little bit on birthdays and kind of what happens on our birthday, but we haven't really talked too much about how we choose to celebrate our birthday now, maybe kind of how we celebrate it as kids and that sort of thing. I think there are some assumptions that a lot of people make when it comes to twins and the birthday celebration for twins. So just kind of wanted to talk about our experience and just kind of how we celebrate our birthday, as well as maybe, kind of how our friends and family celebrate our birthday with us and kind of how that's changed over a while. So anyway, so I'll start off just with you, Riz. Definitely when we were younger, was there anything, I'm thinking of this question, right? So what did you like the most about our twin birthday celebrations? I'll say probably from born until we were 17, because I think 18 was the first time we had 2 separate birthdays. So I'll say the first 17 years of our life. How did you feel about that? We'll start off with, what did you like about those celebrations?
So, that's a little hard to answer, seeing that, the first 17 years of our life we celebrated together. So I didn't know any other way of celebrating. There wasn't like having experience celebrating separately versus together. So what did I like? I think just in general, what most people would like, their birthday is coming up and whatever it is that we would be doing. Sometimes we had plans, sometimes we didn't have plans. I think as we got older, we had less of plans set ahead of time. So it was kind of a bit ad hoc. But when we were younger, there might be a party, or we knew that certain family members were coming over. So I was excited about that. I knew it was our birthday. I don't think there was any issues there because I never knew a celebration and what it was like celebrating separately as opposed to together, how we always did. So I don't know if I have like any hard or fast what I enjoyed, because it was just, for what I knew, our birthday and we were going to do something to celebrate it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about that now. There's definitely some things that you've mentioned that definitely thinking about it now is so weird, because in that time frame, I was the same way. It was like, oh, it's our birthday tomorrow. And it's because nobody at that time ever referred to any of our birthdays separately. It was always like, oh yeah, me and Marrisa, we have our birthday tomorrow. Or what are y'all going to do for your birthday? Even family and friends that, maybe family that would call a few days before, like, oh, well, the next time I see you will be on y'all birthday, And so I even feel like in school, if we were ever in school and a teacher asked, well, when is your birthday? It was like, oh, well, me and my sister, our birthdays are blah, blah, blah. It was always thought as of like a joint collective type of deal. And I think when you're born into that, you don't really see anything different. So it just seems normal, if you will. Just like, oh, our birthday is tomorrow. It would be at that point in time, it probably would have been extremely weird for me to get a cake or anything that just had my name on it. Like, I don't know how I would have felt if they had just given me something at that point in time, because I just never saw anything outside of like, oh, this is our birthday. So definitely I would agree with you there. And I think in that time frame, it was always just like, okay, it was like, yeah, we'll just share a birthday, and that's what we've always done. Haha. So, okay, so definitely, that leads me to the next question. You can already guess what the next question was. was there any part of was there any point that you ever thought, I would say in those first 17 years, that like, wow, I wish I could celebrate this alone, or we always do this thing together? Or like, was there ever any moment where you kind of like second guess that jointness of celebrating a birthday with me?
I would say no, honestly. It was everything I knew growing up. We had always shared it. You have, I say some people, but a lot of people, because there's not but so many multiples out here, but folks that are used to having their birthday. It's their birthday, and it's something where it's like, this is my birthday. This is what I'm going to do. And, I'm not trying to share it. Whereas for us, we grew up sharing it. So for me, I don't think there was any issue in it. It was a normal, it's what I knew at that time. Honestly, just thinking between those years, I don't think if there was ever a time where I was like, oh, I want to do something different. It was kind of like, well, it's me and Court's birthday. Let's see what we're going to do. We'll probably talk a little bit later about what we've done as we've gotten older. And I think as I progressed and got older past 17, I did start to have more thoughts about an interest as to how I wanted to celebrate my birthday and do kind of what I wanted to do. Not a collective thing. But honestly, I mean, coming up from, inception, I guess, to 17, I really can't think of a time where I was like, man, I wish I could have celebrated that differently, or I wish I could have done something differently. That's just straight up.
Yeah, so I agree with most of that. I agree with most of it. I don't know that there was ever a time that I just wish that we would celebrate separately. That never dawned on me. It was always like, oh yeah, we're celebrating our birthday together. I think what more so stood out to me as I got older and kind of developed my own style and kind of who I was and that sort of thing was me noticing that our birthdays were just kind of they weren't personalized, if you will. And so I know that sounds a little interesting, but it's almost like, hey, you have a personality, I have a personality, our personalities are different, what we're into and that sort of thing. So if somebody's celebrating for you, Marrisa, like they might structure the birthday party a little differently for you than they would for me or a friend or VJ or anything like that. And I think as we got older, I started to notice that a little bit, like, okay, this just seems like a generic birthday party that just encompasses both of us, rather than it being kind of tuned or specifically crafted around our individual personalities. So I think that's the only thing that really kind of stood out to me. Never that I wanted to celebrate separately from you, but I think it started to dawn on me, especially in those 15, 16, 17 years, that it was just kind of like, okay, like, yeah, we're celebrating us, but this seems very much so overarching, not really specific to me or you. It just seems like, okay, it's a birthday. So that's that's kind of how I felt in that time. But definitely, okay, so gravitating over into a little more. So I'll talk about that first birthday. Our 18th birthday was the first birthday that we celebrated and we were not together. Marrisa was in Alabama. You were gearing up to go to the University of Alabama in Birmingham. I was in Hampton and I was getting ready to go to Hampton University. And so it was really the first time we've been separated like that, and we were celebrating a milestone birthday, it being our 18th birthday. And so the first question is, was there anything that you noticed or anything that felt very different about that birthday than any other birthday? Outside the fact that, of course, I wasn't physically there, but was there anything else that you felt in that moment?
Yes, and it's because of what went down then. So I had my wisdom teeth removed on our 18th birthday. So that definitely made it memorable. I would say that I remember the Mummy 3 had come out and I really wanted to see that. And so Mom and Dad took us to that. And despite the fact that I had holes in my gums where they cut my teeth out, I still really wanted some sushi from the Serenity West restaurant. So Mom and Dad took me there, galls and everything still in my mouth, and I ate it just with my front teeth. I would say in terms of us, I I think mom and dad, for them, like being there, they were kind of like, woo, so how does it feel, you celebrating by yourself? To me, I don't know. It felt kind of organic. I don't know that, I mean, I love you. I love you, Court, but I don't know that I like missed you or it felt like there was something missing. For the first time ever, I think we called each other, like to wish each other, well, maybe it wasn't on our birthday because I was heavily sedated, but afterwards, we did call each other to like wish each other a happy birthday. So that was new. I will say that was new because generally it's like I roll out the bed, you roll out the bed like happy birthday. So that was the first time it was like I had to call you. I didn't actually see you. That was before we had all these apps where you can call and video call. So maybe there was a bit of a twinge of difference there. But I don't know in terms of like feelings, if anything felt different. Again, I did have the surgery that happened there too. So that could have kind of folded into some of that as well. But in terms of even going to the movies with mom and dad, with them just celebrating me or us even going out to eat and just celebrating me without you being there, I don't know that it felt different. I mean, it just felt like kind of an organic move. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That wasn't the same for me. So for my birthday, I can't remember. I'm trying to think of the name of the restaurant now. Yikes. It was in Newport News, like city center area, but, grandparents took me there. My granddad took me there and auntie, and I think Jordan was all there. And so it was definitely set up, and they asked me, what restaurant do you want to go to? And I'm thinking like, wow, I think that was the first time that it was like, wow, you're asking me just singularly where I want to go eat. That was weird. And I really kind of struggled, and I just kind of threw something out there. I think grandmother, Mima, helped me out some and was like, now, you know that restaurant that I think that you like because you mention it all the time. Oh, yeah, that restaurant. It was like, okay, so we went to the restaurant. And, I know it's interesting because a lot of people like around their birthday and stuff or on their birthday, they like dress up differently. And it's like, it's that extra sense of specialness that you feel on your birthday that I did not feel. And I think that was the first time that it was just like, it just didn't feel, it really felt like something was missing. It was almost like celebrating a holiday gathering, after losing a very close family member, where you realize like, oh man, my grandmother isn't here. My grandfather isn't here. You're still celebrating, but you feel like something is missing. And that's what it felt like. It was like an outer body experience almost. Just me remembering I'm, at this restaurant and they've told, the waiter and staff and everybody that it's my birthday. So they come with my birthday stuff. They're singing happy birthday to me. And it's like, I'm just like watching them put it down on the, like the dessert on the table in slow mo. They had a little cake. I don't know. It just felt really like an outer body. Like, is it really my birthday? Like, I don't feel anything special. It was hard for me to tap into those, regular feelings of it's my birthday. Because I just remember on our birthday how excited we both were to share our birthday with each other. It was like we wake up, it's our birthday, we run, hug each other type of deal. And so it was like we did not have that. So it didn't, for me, it just felt like, oh, we're just eating out and, just a regular day. Like I didn't want to do anything special. And I think even, my grandparents could kind of sense that because they kept asking me like, well, what do you want to do? Where you want to go? What do you want? And I think honestly, my answer was kind of like, oh, I don't have to go anywhere. And they're like, all right, come on now. We going somewhere. We going to eat somewhere. And I'm like, all right, well, and then my grandmother's like, that little restaurant. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, let's go there. But I don't know. I just didn't. It was very forced, if you will, for me to like feel like I was celebrating my birthday. So definitely the 18th birthday was like that. And then I think we were together on the 19th. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if we were together on the 19th, but I don't know. It just it took me quite a few years to get to the point where I was finally like, oh, like I am celebrating my birthday today and I feel special. So, I can't really recall exactly what age that was, but it was definitely after college. It was like well into late 20s, something like that.
You definitely had the mix of emotions there from as you're getting to 17, feeling like the birthdays, is not quite as personalized to having the first personalized birthday and not really feeling engaged into the birthday. So it's just a mix of emotions over there, Court. But I would say, if anything, I don't know if it fell on the birthday, that feeling, because I, even after 18th, when we had our separate birthdays, I don't particularly know if it was the birthday itself or the fact that we were the center of attention on that day. Because leading up to them, I mean, just let's face it, as a multiple, you're kind of always like with the other person. People refer to you as a unit, honestly. Whether you're twins or triplets or higher, you're referred to as a unit. So the first time you get referred to as a single, that can be like you don't know how to fully process it, especially after so many years. Not a bad thing. I think it was the turn of a tide there, and it was the beginning of something, but learning how to adjust to that. What I did want to say, though, to back some up to what you were mentioning, I would definitely say if there's any parents or any of those multiples that are just trying to get insight, listening to the podcast on how to, best rear your multiples and still allow them to grow into their individual authentic selves. We understand that, trying to celebrate a birthday for multiples can get expensive. So, celebrating together still might be a thing. But at least through this conversation, I feel like the added piece is that maybe doing something, and it doesn't have to be huge, but maybe doing something within that joint celebration that personalizes each multiple. You know what I mean? It could be something small, something just, them. So you know what it is that works with them best. But I would definitely say that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Definitely incorporating something that personalizes at least one of those multiples. And that's something I think our parents did do very well. Our parents did that very well. And even our grandparents, they did that very well. I think they were very easily could identify me versus you, Marrisa. I think they did that very, very well. It just, sometimes the further you branch out, it kind of got a little interesting where it's like, oh, okay, thank you. I wish you got two of these because I'm not going to use it. You got two of these or you got whatever because I ain't going to use it. And we actually did some trading and bartering, I feel like, with gifts. We did that a lot of times. So anyway, so getting to this birthday. So we actually have celebrated a few birthdays here together just because we live in the same area now. So we didn't celebrate our birthdays together when we turned, last year we did, the year before we didn't. We did for 30th, which is a milestone birthday. God, I don't even remember what we did for our 25th birthday. I think we celebrated that together. We were here together, so I'm sure we celebrated that one together. But anyway, so we just turned 33, and so we decided to celebrate it differently. And so I decided I went to New York. I just decided, hey, let's do some change of scenery. I have been traveling a lot for work, but I usually go to New York all the time. And I hadn't been since COVID. So deciding, hey, let me go to New York and just a lot of it was a solo trip now because of the fact that I have friends in New York. They were not going to let me just be up there by myself. So I did get with a bunch of friends that were, already up there. But, it was a really good birthday. I'd say it's probably one of the best birthdays I've had in my adult life in celebrating by myself. It was just kind of like, real slow and simple and just kind of going out there and exploring a little bit and meeting up with some folks. And it was just I did a very bad job of planning a whole lot of events before. And it was more so like a lot of the planning process happened, just a few weeks out from the birthday. But I knew that I was going to go up to New York and you stayed here. And so, I definitely didn't feel like, even on our birthday, we did, I think, talk on the phone like very briefly and say, hey, happy birthday, and gave each other a shout out on social media. But definitely it wasn't those feels of like, oh, my God, something is missing. And I think for me, I've gotten to a place now that it's like in the beginning, I felt like something was missing, but it was almost like I wanted to be able to celebrate that with you and know that you're having a good time too. And it felt like I felt guilty to be able to have a good time, and you not be there, because like we, again, had always celebrated our birthdays together. So it was almost like a feeling of guilt being in a place of trying to plan something and the other one not being there. And so, yeah, now, celebrate the 33rd birthday, and it's like, hey, having a good time all day. And I didn't know what you had planned for the birthday, but I knew whatever it was going to be special to you, and that you were going to enjoy it and, look forward to the next birthdays. And so, definitely, I feel like, just with any adults, maybe not, well, maybe let me recant that statement, because some people go all out for their birthday. So, I feel like some of our biggest birthday celebrations were, when we were kids and growing up, and, Sweet 16 was, that was crazy. That was a movie. Our Sweet 16, definitely. Mom and Dad went out for that one. We might have to do a whole podcast episode on our Sweet 16, okay? Because that was like, that should have made it on BET or something. Like, they went all out for that one. Definitely shout out to Mom and Daddy on that one, because they went out for the Sweet 16. But definitely, as kids and in our 16th birthday and stuff like that, I think we're really big. And now it's just kind of still just tapping into like, hey, these are the things that we like. And I don't want to say quiet birthday, but it's more so like, hey, it's just enjoyed in different ways. So anyway, how did you feel about this? How'd you feel about this last 33rd birthday?
So back up. We should definitely do an episode on the Sweet 16 before I move forward, because y'all, it wasn't a birthday. It was like a weekend. Like, there are people that came from across different states across the country. Like, when I tell you, like, the Sweet 16 was an event, like, our parents went all the way off on the Sweet 16. Like, it was like, leading up to a wedding or something, when you have like weekend events and then the wedding. That's how the Sweet 16 was. Like, it was a thing. Like, it was like we was born for them to throw us that Sweet 16 party. Like, they have been just living into it. But anyway, that's for a separate episode, because there's like just a start to bottom on the Sweet 16. But anyway, going back to now, I would agree. I would say that I wouldn't say we determined that we were going to do a separate birthday this year. It just organically happened. Like, so what you doing? You going to New York? Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to do such and such. And I think we know each other's vibe. So, we celebrate differently. We're into different things. If I would have went to New York, I probably would have went to bed before you even started. So, that wasn't my vibe. But I counted my trip to Kenya as my kind of birthday celebration. And then coming back, just had a nice little meal. I was craving lobster, had some lobster. Want some cupcakes? Got some cupcakes, and made you eat some too. And on my actual birthday, I actually didn't do anything. I think I got something from Starbucks and went walking. So, and went to work. So, we celebrated differently, and that was fine. I think that, again, as we've gotten older, we know what works for us. We know what vibes for us, and we just do it. So it's kind of like, hey, what you doing on your birthday? I think as I say that, as those words come out of my mouth, that's been the biggest difference as we've gotten older, is acknowledging it as your birthday or my birthday. Like, because as we got closer, oh, what you doing on your birthday? Instead of what are you doing on our birthday? I think growing up, we were like, oh, what are we doing on our birthday? As we got older, oh, what you doing on your birthday? Like, it's not the same day or something. What you doing on your birthday? Oh, I'm doing such a, what you doing on your birthday? It's the same day, but we kind of almost separate it out and individualize it in itself now. So I think that's kind of been a bit of an organic progression. I think the 18th just happened to be the start, because you had to go to Hampton to start prepping for college, and Mom and Dad was about to move back anyway. And they were pretty much just hanging out until I got to UAB, and then they was moving back up here to Virginia. So
yeah, well, definitely. I think we've grown into ourselves and grown into just our birthday, how we celebrate it, and what it means for us. And so we were definitely, that might be the next episode, is talking about that Sweet 16 birthday, because that needs a 30-minute episode. That needs a full 30-minute block there. That was a lot. But anyway, definitely thank you for tuning in with us, and we're definitely looking forward to, if there's anyone out there that, for parents out there wondering, well, what am I going to, I got multiples. They're starting to get older now. Maybe they're getting 8, 9, 10, 11, I don't know, or maybe even in their late teens or something. And you're trying to figure out, hey, I want to do something special, but what do I do and that sort of thing, definitely feel free to reach out to us. And I think the biggest, word of advice is just you're able to identify, the multiples apart, whether they're twins or triplets or what have you. You're able to identify them, and definitely just doing something special. Like Marrisa said, it's hard to throw 4 different birthdays in one day. That might be hard, or 2 different birthdays in one day. That's hard. That's hard. But being able to have maybe one birthday party and just have elements of it catered to each person is, I think, so great. Each twin is a twin or what have you is great. So definitely keep that in mind. And so speaking of reaching out to us, definitely always looking for feedback, any questions or anything. You can find us on Instagram at Twin Theory Podcast. You can email us at twintheorypodcasters@gmail.com. And you can just find us on any major podcast streaming app. You can Google search us at this point and say, hey, I'm looking for the Twin Theory Podcast. And so definitely looking forward to firing off some good episodes for you. And so maybe the next time we'll talk about the Sweet 16, and we got just a whole bunch of great stuff lined up for you. So we hope that you are enjoying the end of the summer. The end of the summer is upon us, Lord. And, it's this time of year. I love the fall. So I'm kind of like looking forward to the fall. I love the fall weather. I like the cool breeze in the morning. Now, I don't like the winter. Let me differentiate, not the winter, but something that's a little cool breeze in the morning. It just, I love it. It reminds me of like that that fresh going back to school and how excited, you were going back to school, especially even me in college that time of year, going right back to school. So hope you all are enjoying these last few days of summer, and we will connect with you all later. Take care.